Hi friends, it's Mrs. Pagnotti here and we are back together to talk more about poetry. You have been working really hard reading poems and writing poems, and today we're going to think about poetry in a different way. So I'm going to show you some poems from our Reggie Routman book, and I'm also going to show you some poems that some of the children in my class wrote. And then we're going to talk about them, and I am going to share with you a writing challenge. Are you ready? I hope so. Let's start. So here's our first poem. It's called My Teeth by Kevin Ploutz. Shiny, loose, lost to my teeth. What do you notice about that poem? I notice that the end of the poem is just like the title. But you know what else I notice? I notice that Kevin didn't write sentences in his poem and he didn't use a lot of words. So his poem is short and made up of just words, words about his teeth. Let's go to the next poem. A Bunny Rabbit by Adeline. The bunny is eating a clover. Now the clover is over. What do you notice about this poem? This poem's a little different than the last because Adeline, she wrote in complete sentences, and you can make poems using complete sentences, absolutely. But does she have a lot of sentences? Is it like a long story? No, it's not. It's really short, isn't it? And it even rhymes. Some poems rhyme. Not all poems rhyme. Let's read the next poem. My Lunchbox by Tierra Holly. Potato chips, sandwich, napkin, apple juice. That's all. So that's interesting. I'm noticing that Tierra's poem is made mostly of words, but at the very end, she has a little sentence with an exclamation mark, right? And she's telling about something that's common. She's telling about her lunchbox and all the things that you would find inside it. But she's using just the words to tell what's inside. That's an interesting poem. Now, this poem is by Harry. Harry's in my class. It's called Chocolate Bars by Harry. I like chocolate bars. They are yummy. Mmm. You know what I'm noticing, boys and girls? I'm noticing a few things. So this was Harry's shape poem. Do you see that he has a chocolate bar in the middle? And he wrote his words around the chocolate bar? You know what I'm noticing? I put punctuation in Harry's poem because I did the typing. But when I look at his poem, he didn't have punctuation. So when I go back and work on this presentation, I'll take out the punctuation so it matches Harry's poem. So his poem is short and it's in the shape of a chocolate bar. Let's see what the next poem is. People. This is People by William O'Connor. People. Black people, white people, different people. That's a short poem. There's no punctuation. There are no sentences. But it tells us that William was thinking about different kinds of people, doesn't it? He absolutely was. Oh, here's another poem by a kindergartner from Cold Spring School. This is called My Pool by Kaylin. I like to dive. I feel alive into my pool. It is so cool. So her poem isn't very long, is it? And I'm noticing that she was working really hard on having her words rhyme at the end. That's something you can do with poetry. It doesn't have to rhyme, but you can make your poems rhyme. I see that she didn't have any punctuation. And that's okay too. That's the cool thing about poetry. You don't have to have punctuation. Let's see. So, friends, when we were listening and reading these poems, we learned that poetry is different than a story, right? Poetry can be short. Stories are usually a little bit longer, and it can be made up of just words instead of sentences. So this is my challenge for you. Do you think you can make a poem that's a little shorter, that maybe isn't made up of sentences, it's just made up of words? I bet you can. So I can't wait to see what you all come up with.